All right, at this point we've got all the leads connected. Uh, the leads from each cell is connected to the back of the other cell in each row. So now I have to connect the bus wire to connect the rows to each other. So the cells are connected in series, and now I'm going to connect the rows in series. Uh, so the first row that you see here, that looks like my negative output row. Uh, that will be that won't be connected to the other row. So the first row is by itself. That's a negative output row. The second row will be connected to the third row. The second row will be a positive lead output, and it's connected to the negative lead of the third row. So that's what I'm doing with the soldering iron. Here, bending the tabbing wire over the bus wire. That's a BUSS wire. It's wider than the tabbing wire because it's carrying more voltage. Each cell delivers about zero point 0.5 volts. So each row, the way I have it connected, 5 of those, they'll be giving off 2.5 volts. So that's more. So you need a wider wire. That's why the bus wire is wider than the tabbing wire. So what I'm doing here is just bending the tabbing wire over the bus wire to keep it in place about 1/8 of an inch distance from the cells. And once I have the bus wire in place or secured by bending the tabbing wire over it, I'll come back with the soldering iron and a little solder and make the connection more permanent. I'm off camera right now, but that's what I'm doing down on the other end. I'm connecting the fourth and fifth row in series. So the cells are connected in series, and now the rows will be connected in series. Now on this side, it's not complete until the other side is also done. And I wind up with a configuration of a snake because it goes from one down one row, up the other row, down, up. So you get a S type of configuration as far as the current flow or the voltage flow goes. So now I'm making the connection permanent with the soldering iron on this side, and then I'll turn it around and do the other side uh, the same way. So you don't want to rest the iron on too long. That's why I use the solder, even though they say the leads are solderless. But uh, since I'm doing it on an acrylic front panel or an acrylic sheet under there, you don't want to let the solder iron stay too long on there because the acrylic will melt and it'll adhere or stick to the leads or the cells, and you don't want that. So once I'm done with this side, I'll turn it around and do the other side. One tip, if you ever do this or think about doing this, is to uh, put a sheet of paper or newspaper between the cells and the acrylic. It makes it a lot easier. You do get some, you don't, then you don't have to be, well, you still have to be careful, but not as uh, careful. um, it'll absorb some of the heat without melting the acrylic. Right now, I clipping off the excess tabbing wires from each row on this side, and then I'll turn it around. So now the first row on this side should be my positive output row, and I'll connect that. That requires a shorter bus wire, and then the second and the third, negative to positive, the fourth and the fifth, negative to positive. Those will be tied. So this first row is gonna be my positive output. I bend the tabbing wire over the bus wire. You get a longer. Right here, I'm clipping because the positive wires coming off. Sometimes they're longer than the cell itself, and you don't. If you're not using them, you don't want it to touch the negative output. So you clean it up a little by clipping the ends so that the leads that you're not using are not touching any other lead that you'll be using, because you'll be shorting out the system. So you see this is a longer bus wire, and you see it's much wider than the tabbing wire. It has to carry more voltage, as I said more before. It's more wattage. And once you get that done, then you just clean up by clipping the ends of the clipping the excess wires off. And here I come with my soldering iron. Oh, at this point, it's critical to make sure your row spacing is lined up just right. At this point, the bus wire will determine